Donald Trump doing one of the biggest cardinal sins in Washington, and that is praising Xi Jinping. Where he's essentially saying Xi Jinping is a smart guy, and he's true. He's right. Like, if you guys listen to speeches from Xi Jinping, if you guys listen to speeches of Putin, there couldn't be a more clear difference between the world leaders of these two countries. Compare Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden. Hell, don't even have to go that far. Because you can argue that these people are senile, they are demented, and that's why they're not effective leaders. No, look at Kamala Harris. Look at Kamala Harris. Look at AOC, who we just did an expose on in her embarrassing interview with David Sirota. She's obviously not a competent left leader. When you look at Kamala Harris, even establishment sources, and I got one safe for you guys, are writing stories about how Kamala Harris has been a massive failure. So in the United States, you got all these politicians, all of them dumb as a rock. None of them qualified for the position. Pete Buttigieg is Secretary of Transportation because he dropped out to help Joe Biden win. Now, compare that to what you see with Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, who gave amazing speeches talking about his resistance to the United States empire and why it's so important to stand in solidarity against the West that are trying to destroy them. He makes a very persuasive argument to his people, which is why people, despite being propped up by the United States to overthrow Nicolas Maduro, they do not. He remains popular because he communicates to his people why they are struggling because of the United States, and he does it in a very expert way. That is what Vladimir Putin has done, which is why if you watch Morning Joe or any of these insane propaganda networks that tell you that Putin is the evilest man of all time, it's very curious that he's the evilest person of all time, but you guys can't show him speaking, you guys can't show him contradicting himself, because that is not what happens. When Vladimir Putin speaks about his special military operations, all the transgressions of the West, he is very persuasive. He's a very smart, calculating person, and you do not have to like Putin to admit that. Very smart guy. When you look at Xi Jinping, every single person that meets Xi Jinping, extremely smart person. To be the person that climbs the top of Chinese society and become the representative leader, he shows extreme amount of competence. Same as Putin does. Hell, the same as a lot of non-Western global leaders who are leading the charge against the United States. So guess who mentioned this? And liberals are melting down. It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And we're going to get to that story here soon. I think we're going to talk about how Donald Trump praised Xi Jinping and liberals are melting down over that. So the strategy of the Democratic Party heading into 2024, guys, is to be openly the neocon party. Openly the neocon party. And then they're going to wag at anti-war leftists. They're going to war at progressives that Joe Biden is funding ICE detention centers to record levels. And Joe Biden is expanding public drilling, expanding fracking, approved the Willow Project, gave COVID money to the police, breaking strikes. As that is happening, they are going to run to the right, to Donald Trump on global affairs. I need to stop spoiling the segment that much, but when Donald Trump ran and they were trying to gaslight me and scare me into voting for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, who's done unbelievable damage to the Black community. And I'm not only talking about the Black community, I'm talking about the workers in general, the global working class, right? When you look at what they did to Haiti, when you look at Hillary Clinton in Libya as well. But specifically, as a Black man, when I look at what Hillary Clinton, crime bill Joe Biden has done to the Black community, there is no way that any liberal was going to gaslight me into voting for these people. But one of the things they said is, we have to vote for these corrupt Democrats because Donald Trump is so unhinged, he's going to plunge us into World War III. He's going to lose all the respect of all our allies and lose our global standing in the world. This is what was coming from Democrats. Meanwhile, that's the exact same thing that happened under Joe Biden. Excuse me. So that's the thing that happened under Joe Biden, where United States allies lost their faith in this country. You have Emmanuel Macron, Lula, two close United States allies that are openly rebuking Joe Biden's foreign policy. He is treated like a clown. Like, people are not afraid to rebuke him. Saudi Arabia invited him to the country and they embarrassed him. Then Xi Jinping went to Saudi Arabia and they had red carpet opening for the guy. So anything they said that happened under Donald Trump had happened under Joe Biden. Everything that they sold you about Donald Trump was a giant projection. Everything that Donald Trump wanted to get done, Joe Biden got done worse. And in terms of being the crazy maniac that get World War III started, like they predicted Donald Trump would do, that is what Joe Biden is doing. Excuse me. Now, this is the quote. I think our preface is enough. And I'm going to show you guys this quote, and I'm going to show you guys some liberal reactions, because they're really going to do it. Imagine you have someone as crazy as Donald Trump, someone as incompetent as Donald Trump, someone as corrupt as Donald Trump, but your line of attacks against him is nothing but neocon shit. And I'm going to explain here. This is the initial praise of Trump and Xi Jinping. Let's listen.
The table from each other.
So, and also, maybe on Nick and CJ, maybe I can do a larger review of this interview between Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, because he talked about nuclear war in there. A lot of it is not worth watching, but I think the foreign policy parts are worth watching here. So this guy, Mike Sington, who is the senior executive at NBC Universal. NBC Universal, that's what this guy is. He said, top of the line. He said, watch wannabe dictator Trump fawn over dictators. They're dictators now. Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and Vladimir Putin. So this is the video that liberals are melting down on. Let's watch it.
From each other in the ballroom of Mar-a-Lago. It was an amazing scene. But our meeting was supposed to take 15 minutes. It took 4 hours. We got along so well. There was a great chemistry we had. Great. We talked about everything. A great chemistry. But people ask me, how smart is she? I said, top of the line. You never met anybody smarter. How smart is Kim Jong-un? Top of the line. You know, people say, oh, this and that. Really smart. You know, when you come out and as a young man at 24, 23, even though he sort of inherits it, most people, when they inherit, they lose it. And that's easy stuff. He took over a country of very smart people, very, very energetic people, very tough people at a very young age, and he has total dominant control. That's not easy. These are very smart. Putin, very smart. Now, he's had and probably a bad year. Don't forget, that whole thing is not, if he took over all of Ukraine. And what are we going to do? Because Biden is so committed to Ukraine. What happens if it's a not winnable war?
Now do you guys see why the establishment hates Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a bootleg version of Joe Biden.